Story 1. About 22 years back, my girlfriend and I were tearing up the highways on a spontaneous road trip. No real destination, just miles of open roads stretching through the Midwest. We hit Nebraska late one evening, that endless sea of cornfields blurring into the dusk. We'd been pushing hard for nearly 2 days, trading off behind the wheel, barely stopping for gas or grub. Exhaustion finally won out, so we pulled into this run-down motel off some forgotten stretch of I-80 near Kearney. The place looked like it hadn't seen a fresh coat of paint since the 70s. Faded neon sign flickering, vacancy, maybe 5 or 6 rooms total, surrounded by nothing but flatland and silence. She hopped out first, heading toward the office while I scanned the lot. Something felt off right away. The air thick with that isolated Midwest quiet, the kind that presses in on you. She waved me over, and we stepped inside. Behind the counter loomed this giant of a man. I'm no lightweight, 6'3", built from years of manual labor, but this guy dwarfed me. Had to be 7 feet easy, with a frame like he'd been carved from oak, broad shoulders straining his faded shirt. His eyes locked on us with a slow, unnerving smile as he scribbled on a ledger, took my cash, and slid over a key. No small talk, just that grin. Glancing down, I spotted the bank of old CRT monitors on the desk. 4 or 5 of them, straight out of some 80s surveillance flick. One caught my eye immediately. It was playing porn, grainy and explicit. A group of young women, barely looking legal, mid-teens at best, working out nude in what seemed like a school gym. Their movements were stiff, almost mechanical, like bad actors in a twisted script. I stole maybe 10 seconds of a look, but it burned in. Worse, the guy was in sweatpants, and it was obvious he was aroused. My stomach twisted, but I grabbed the key and we bolted to the room without a word. She hadn't seen over the counter, being shorter, so I filled her in once we were inside. The room was bare bones. Thin walls, musty carpet, a sagging bed. We both felt it, that prickling unease, like eyes on your back. I barricaded the door with our heavy suitcases, balanced a cheap vase on top so it'd crash if anyone tried entry, rigged the windows with plastic cups wedged in the frames for noise. We showered quick, crashed around midnight, dead tired. Woke up disoriented at 3:30 a.m., throat parched. Figured I'd hit the lobby for ice and a soda from the machine. Lobby was empty, big guy nowhere in sight. The monitors were still glowing. That porn feed looped on one screen, same creepy gym scene. Another showed the empty parking lot, our car sitting alone under the sodium lights. Then the third. It was our room. Clear as day, my girlfriend asleep on the bed, covers rumpled, oblivious. My blood ran cold. Heart pounding, I didn't yell or confront. I just moved. Slipped back, packed the car in under 5 minutes, scooped her up still half asleep, and peeled out onto the highway. She stirred as we hit speed, piecing it together from my frantic explanation. We didn't stop till dawn, crashing at a chain hotel 2 states over. Never reported it, too shaken, and what proof did we have? But years later, curiosity got me. Dug online and found old news clips from Nebraska papers. That motel? Shut down in '05 after a raid. Turns out the owner, that giant, had a hidden basement setup. Cameras in every room, feeding to his monitors. And those workout videos? Homemade, from missing girls who'd checked in and never checked out. Cops linked him to at least 3 disappearances. We got lucky that night. But sometimes, in the dead quiet, I still feel those eyes watching. Story 2. The night shift at a small-town hotel in Grand Island, Nebraska, is a lonely gig. You're stuck behind a chipped Formica desk, the hum of fluorescent lights and the occasional creak of the buildings settling your only company. I'd been at it for a couple of years, used to the parade of oddballs, drunks stumbling in from the bar down the street, twitchy meth heads looking for a quick crash, and the occasional guest who'd rant about UFOs or government trackers in their toothpaste. It's a grind, but it pays the bills. This one night though, in the spring during that weird daylight saving switch, something happened that still crawls under my skin when I think about it. The hotel was hosting a college baseball team from some out-of-state school. They rolled in around 11 p.m., a pack of loud, sweaty kids fresh off a game, lugging duffels and reeking of Gatorade and locker room. They were polite enough though, just grabbed their keys and headed to their rooms on the 3rd floor. Bedtime for them, no fuss. I figured it'd be a quiet night. Then, around 1 a.m., their coaches stumbled through the front doors, absolutely obliterated. Slurring, laughing, one of them nearly tripped over the welcome mat. They smelled like a distillery, but they managed to get their keys and wobble into the elevator. I didn't hear a peep after that. Just the usual silence of a dead Nebraska night, the kind where you can hear the wind rattling the loose siding outside. I was in the breakfast nook around 2 a.m., setting out stacks of paper plates and those little cereal boxes nobody eats, when the elevator dinged. It's one of those old clunky models that groans like it's dying every time it moves. I glanced up, expecting another drunk coach looking for a vending machine. Instead, one of them, big guy, red-faced, still in his team jacket, burst out like a bat out of hell. He didn't even look at me, just sprinted straight through the lobby and out the front door into the freezing night. I froze, coffee pot in hand, thinking, what the hell? Then he came barreling back inside, wild-eyed, screaming, "He fell! He fell!" My gut dropped. I dropped the pot, grabbed my phone, and dialed 911 as I ran after him. Outside, the air was sharp, the parking lot lit by a single flickering street lamp casting long, jagged shadows. There, sprawled in the gravel near the hotel's side entrance, was another coach. Face down, motionless. A dark, glistening puddle spread out beneath him, soaking into the dirt like motor oil. Blood. Way too much blood. The coppery smell hit me like a punch, and I fought the urge to gag. I'd had some basic rescue training from a summer job as a lifeguard, so I snapped into gear, dropped to my knees, rolled him into the recovery position to keep him from choking on the blood pooling in his mouth. His face was a mess, smashed nose, lips split, gravel embedded in his cheek. I didn't dare look too close, just kept my hand steady and shouted to the other coach to grab towels from inside. He was useless, pacing and muttering, so I held it together alone, phone wedged against my shoulder as I gave the 911 operator our location. The paramedics showed up fast, their lights cutting through the fog that had started rolling in off the Platte River. They took over, moving with that calm efficiency you only get from seeing the worst every day. As they hoisted him onto the stretcher, one of them swiped a cloth across his forehead to clear the blood. That's when I saw it. His skull was split open, a jagged gash from his hairline to his brow, so deep it looked like someone had taken an axe to him. And there, in the pulsing red mess, was his brain, gray, slick, exposed under the ambulance's harsh lights. I'd never seen anything like it. My stomach lurched, but I couldn't look away. It was like staring into something that wasn't meant to be seen, something wrong. They said he'd fallen from a 3rd-floor window. How? Nobody knew. The other coach was too drunk to explain, just kept babbling about how they'd been messing around after drinking. The window in their room was open when maintenance checked later, curtains flapping in the wind, a half-empty bottle of Jack Daniels on the sill. No signs of a fight, no broken glass. Just a guy who somehow went from partying to pavement. They airlifted him to a trauma center up in Omaha. Miraculously, he survived, though I heard he was never quite the same. Memory issues, headaches that wouldn't quit. Me? I got a raise the next day, probably because the manager knew I'd kept my cool and saved them a lawsuit. But that night stuck with me. Sometimes, when I'm alone on a shift and the wind howls outside, I swear I can still smell that blood, see that gray glint of brain under the lights. And I wonder what really happened up in that room, because drunks don't just fall out of windows. Not like that. Story 3. I was on a business trip in Mumbai, India, holed up at a swanky hotel in the heart of the city's chaotic bustle. The place was upscale, marble floors, gold trim decor, the kind of spot that screams corporate expense account. Normally, I'd head straight to my room, order room service, and zone out to some bad action flick. But that night, jet-lagged and restless, I figured I'd try the lobby bar. It was tucked off to the side, dimly lit with low jazz humming through hidden speakers. The vibe was quiet, almost too quiet for a city that never sleeps. I slid onto a bar stool, the only soul in the place. The bartender, a wiry guy with a slick smile and eyes that didn't quite meet mine, greeted me with a nod. We made small talk. Cricket scores, the weather, nothing deep. I ordered a scotch and soda, something simple to take the edge off. Sipped it slowly, watching the ice melt in the amber liquid. When I finished, I ordered another and stepped away to the restroom down the hall. Couldn't have been gone more than 3 minutes. When I got back, my drink was waiting on the polished bar top, but something was off. A cloudy white rim clung to the glass, maybe 2 or 3 millimeters wide, like some kind of frothy residue. I leaned in closer, and the foam was settling, leaving a faint powdery film on the inner edge. My gut twisted. Scotch and soda doesn't do that. I'd had enough drinks in my life to know this wasn't condensation or some quirk of the glassware. I locked eyes with the bartender. "What's wrong with this?" I asked, keeping my tone even but firm. He played dumb, wiping down the counter like he hadn't heard me. "Nothing, sir. Just your drink." His voice was smooth, but his hands fumbled with the rag. I wasn't buying it. I pointed at the glass, the residue now glaringly obvious under the bar's soft lights. "That's not normal. What's in it?" He glanced at the glass, then back at me, his smile faltering for a split second. "Oh, that happens sometimes. Maybe the glass wasn't clean." His excuse was flimsy, and we both knew it. I leaned forward, voice low. "Did you put something in my drink?" His no came too quick, his eyes darting to the side. That was it, the tell. Years in boardrooms taught me to read a liar, and this guy was sweating bullets behind his fake calm. I decided to push. "If it's fine, taste it," I said, sliding the glass toward him. His face froze, that slick smile gone. "No, sir, I don't drink on shift," he stammered, already reaching for a fresh glass. "Let me pour you another." I waved him off. "Nah, I'll drink this one. Just tell me if it's off." I wasn't going to touch it, but I wanted to see how far he'd squirm. The air between us thickened, like we were both playing parts in a game neither of us would name. He knew I knew. I paid my tab, left the drink untouched, and walked out, feeling his eyes boring into my back. Back in my room, I locked the door, slid the chain, and wedged a chair under the handle for good measure. My mind raced, picturing horror stories. Tourists waking up in bathtubs, organs gone, or worse. Mumbai's a loud city, but that night, every creak in the hallway, every hum of the AC, sounded like someone lurking just outside. I barely slept, one eye on the door. The next morning, I checked out early, catching a cab to the airport. On a whim, I searched online for the hotel. Buried in some obscure travel forum was a post from a guy who'd stayed there a year prior. Same bar, same weird vibe. He'd felt woozy after one drink, woke up in his room with his wallet emptied and no memory of the night. No proof, no police report, just a warning to steer clear. I don't know what was in that glass, and I don't want to, but every time I'm in a new city, I stick to room service. Trust me, it's safer that way. Story 4. In 2023, my crew and I, 6 of us total, landed in Cebu City, deep in the Visayas, Philippines, for a work project. I'm the writer, joined by our producer, project manager, and a couple of camera guys. The shoot itself was standard. Long days, sweaty locations, nothing out of the ordinary. But the hotel we stayed in? That's where things got weird. Real weird. It was an older place, tucked in a quiet corner of Cebu, not far from the bustle of Colon Street. The facade screamed faded glory, peeling paint, ornate trim from another era, but inside it was clean enough, with polished floors and a faint smell of jasmine air freshener. Right between the elevators was an altar, a small wooden shrine with a carved figure draped in white cloth. I'm no stranger to these setups. You see them all over the Philippines. But this one felt off. I've always had a knack for sensing things. Call it a gift, call it a curse, but standing there, I swear that figure wasn't just a statue. It was like something ancient was watching, not angry, just present. I gave it a nod, a quiet gesture of respect, and moved on. No need to stir up trouble with whatever lived in that shrine. The hotel booked us 4 rooms, which was odd for a crew of 6. Me and the producer each got our own 2-person rooms, while the others doubled up. My room was at the far end of the 4th floor hallway, right next to the fire exit where they stacked extra folding beds. The hallway was long, dimly lit, with carpet that swallowed your footsteps. My room was clean but dated, creaky bed, heavy curtains, a bathroom with cracked tiles. That first night, I unpacked, set my earrings and rings on the left side of the bathroom sink, and tried to wind down. But something wasn't right. I felt it the second I walked in, a weight in the air, like someone was standing just out of sight. I checked the corners, under the bed, even the closet. Nothing. Then I noticed my jewelry. It was on the right side of the sink now. I hadn't touched it. I'm not one to panic, so I tried to brush it off. Maybe I was tired. Jet lag, long day, whatever. But the feeling didn't leave. It was like the room had a guest I couldn't see, lingering in the far corner by the window. Not hostile, just curious. I didn't have salt or sage, so I did a quick sound cleanse, clapping sharply, whispering a prayer my Lola taught me to ward off strays. I picked the bed closest to the wall, farthest from that corner, and slept with one eye open. The presence stayed put, quiet but there. I made it through the night, uneasy but unharmed. Day 2 was a marathon shoot, and we were beat. The crew decided to grab some Red Horse beers and chill in the project manager's room. I ducked back to my room to grab my phone charger. The folding beds by the fire exit were neatly stacked when I passed them, like soldiers in a row. I was in my room maybe 2 minutes, door ajar, grabbing my stuff. When I stepped back out, those beds were a mess, tipped over, frames tangled like someone had tossed them in a fit. No one was in the hall. No footsteps, no voices. My heart started pounding. I would have seen anyone messing with those beds. I bolted back to the group, trying to keep my face neutral. They saw right through me. "You okay, man?" one of the camera guys asked. I lied, said I just wanted to hang as a group to build rapport. Total bullshit, but they bought it. We cracked open the beers, laughed, tried to keep it light. Then one of the guys said he'd grab his blanket from his room. I wasn't about to let him go alone, so me and another coworker tagged along. Standing in the hallway while they rummaged, I glanced down the corridor. That's when I saw her. A woman in a white dress, pale as bone, gliding across the hallway, not walking, gliding, and passing through the damn wall. My breath caught. I've felt spirits my whole life, ever since I was a kid, but I'd never seen one. This wasn't a vibe or a chill. This was real, clear as day, and it scared the hell out of me. The energy in that hotel was so thick it was like the walls were breathing. Back in the room, I held it together until the beers loosened my tongue. I spilled everything, the jewelry, the beds, the woman in white. The crew went quiet, faces pale. Then one of the camera guys, voice shaky, admitted he'd seen her too, late the night before, standing at the end of his bed. We were all spooked now. I let another sound cleanse, clapping and chanting louder this time, begging whatever was there to leave us be. It wasn't enough to clear the air, but it held the presence at arm's length. We crammed into that one room for the night, sleeping in shifts, jumping at every creak. The next morning, we were set to check out. The shoot was done, and I'd never been so ready to leave a place. As we dragged our bags to the elevators, I glanced at the altar again. That figure, draped in white, seemed to hum with something old. Older than the hotel, older than Cebu. In my head, I apologized. Sorry for intruding. We're leaving now. The air felt heavy, like it was acknowledging me back. We piled into the van and didn't look back. Weeks later, back home, I did some digging. Found a local forum where people traded stories about that hotel. Guests mentioned flickering lights, objects moving, shadows in the halls. One post, buried deep, claimed the altar wasn't just a shrine, it was a seal, built to keep something trapped. Something that didn't like visitors. I don't know what we stirred up in that place, but I know one thing. I'm never going back.